No, I'm not headed anywhere. My car is the only place that I can guarantee there won't be the sound of my sons wrestling or fighting in the background. Well, even then, there are no guarantees in my car. But I wanted to share a story with you because as soon as I realized, wow, we are in for the long haul with this quarantine, my mind immediately went back to a time in my life that kind of felt like a quarantine. It was one of the hardest years of my life. And the thought that I had was, I'm not going to fail this time. So I want to tell you a little bit about that time in my life. I was a young, still inexperienced mother of 3 little kids under the age of 4 and living in Las Vegas, Nevada. And the only reason I have to say Nevada is because I'm from New Mexico and there is a Las Vegas, New Mexico. Did you know? Most people in the world, when I say Las Vegas, will assume Nevada. Anyway, moving on with my story. My husband got a new job and the housing market was fantastic. So we had no worries for selling our home in Las Vegas. And we went to New Mexico to find a home. And we decided to put money down on a lot right near the temple in Albuquerque. It was a beautiful lot. And we had plans to build a home there. Well, I didn't feel a lot of peace about this job and this move. It wasn't something I was expecting or really wanted. But on that drive home from New Mexico back to Vegas, I had peace about one thing, and I was shocked that I had peace about this one thing. And that was that we were supposed to live with my parents until we sold our house, which I knew wasn't going to be long because houses were selling like in 1 week there. So I thought maybe we'd have to live with them for a month or so. And the reason I was surprised by this is that, well, my parents had a really small home. It was a cluttered home, not ideal for a family of 5 to move into. There wasn't a lot of space. My brother, who had special needs, was still living there, and he needed his space. But I just knew we were supposed to live there, and I just had peace about it. So I was like, okay, I'll go with this. Well, the week that we moved into my parents' home, my sister, who was a single mom of 1 little girl, decided to move in too. So I went from having 2 bedrooms for my whole family to having 1 bedroom for my family of 5. And in a short time after that, my dad's childhood friend reached out to him. He was an alcoholic and had basically been kicked out of every place he had ever lived in. And my parents decided to take him in as well. 11 people under 1 roof, 1,500 square feet. And I was the one that did all the shopping, cooking, and cleaning. You could say I was a little overwhelmed and thinking, why in the world did I feel peace about this? Well, that year, besides that burden of cooking and cleaning for 11 people in a small home, my husband had to travel for this new job. He never had to do that before. And so I went from having my husband home quite a bit to him being gone 3 to 4 days a week. And then he also started working on his master's degree. So when he was home, he was at school. I pretty much didn't see my husband. And on top of that, the month that we put our house on the market in Las Vegas, so did 100 other people in a square mile of our house, 100 homes for sale. Everyone was starting to try and cash in and get some equity on their homes, and things started to crash. Needless to say, our home did not sell. It did not sell for 7 months. So we ended up staying with my parents a lot longer than we thought because we couldn't afford 2 mortgages. And then, we had felt that we were, if I could speak, the home that we were going to build next to the temple, all those plans fell through because our house didn't sell in Vegas, so we couldn't purchase that land anymore. And I was kind of at a loss. We did decide that we wanted to live somewhere more rural near my parents, but there were no homes that were really good for bigger families. Like, you were lucky to find a house with 3 bedrooms, let alone 4. So we knew we would have to build a home. So we started on that journey, and seriously, everything that could possibly go wrong in building a house, it went wrong. It was pretty much a nightmare experience. It took us a year and a half to build that house. And during this time, I was pretty overwhelmed, pretty stressed, pretty depressed. My baby wasn't sleeping through the night, and we were all crammed in one room, remember? And I had some postpartum depression. It was an overwhelming time of my life that I desperately wanted to come to an end. The one thing that did bring me light was living with my brother Billy, who had special needs. He had the mentality of about a 4 or 5-year-old, and he was just a light. He made you laugh all the time and brought so much joy into our lives. And he also became close playmates with my daughter and my little niece, because they were right around the age that matched up with, his mentality and who he liked to play with. And so it was wonderful for them. They had so much fun playing together. So I did see those blessings, but I was still pretty depressed. Well, while I was in that situation, I really struggled to see what was the purpose and blessing of all this. Why did I feel so strongly to live with my parents? And then something happened, and I realized why. But it wasn't until it was all over. I had finally moved out of my parents' home. And I got pregnant and all of that, and was not feeling so good. And then unexpectedly on Christmas Day, my brother Billy passed away. And I immediately realized why. I had felt that peace and direction in living with my parents, even though it was hard and it didn't make sense at the time. Heavenly Father gave me the opportunity to live with my brother during the last year of his life. I had no way of knowing that. And I was able to have so many more joyful memories. And I did feel some regrets. That's why I felt like I had failed during that time, because I was like, oh my goodness, if I could have just gotten over my depression, how many more joyful moments would I have been able to have with my brother? And so that's where my thoughts went when we were put on this quarantine. Like, okay, I'm not going to fail this time. I know that there is a blessing in this quarantine that I may not see while we're in the thick of this. Maybe I'll see it after, but I know God is trying to bless us. And I definitely have been able to see some of those blessings. And I've also realized that all that time that I thought that I had failed during that year because I was depressed, it, I didn't fail. I learned so much from it. And, there was more purpose than just for me to be able to go live with my brother. It was not only a gift for me, but my brother had just finished high school. You're able to go to high school a little longer than the average person if you have special needs. And so he was at home now. And he was so social. And so he didn't have that social interaction that he once had. And I think it was hard for my parents because they both had to work and they were worried about him not having anyone to be with, to play with. And what a gift it was to him that now he had two playmates, my daughter and my niece, to bring more joy into this last year of his life. So many blessings that I just had no idea. And so during this time, God is blessing you. He's blessing me. He's blessing all of us. We may not see it until it's over, but there is a purpose in all of this. And if you're feeling a little spent, a little done with this, I feel it too. Just maybe you can have a little hope in the fact that God is still blessing you. And have some joy in that. Find some joy in this day and every day, because I think that you'll look back on this time and be grateful that you were able to have joy despite the tricky circumstances. So I just wanted to share that with you. And if you have any tender mercies or miracles or stories that you want to share that might bless someone else, go ahead and share them over at leftwithasmile.com. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Talk to you guys later.